Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, and entertainment, when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today, we have a pretty interesting episode for you guys that you definitely want to stick around for, so make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, as things currently stand, the Nets seem to be in flux, right? Although they have Kyrie Irving, he's only under contract for 1 year. Right? And we don't really know what his future with the Nets is going to be. We have that. And many reports have also indicated that the Nets are open, or at least secretly trying to move off from Kyrie Irving. So we have that. Then we have the Ben Simmons situation. I mean, if you think about Ben Simmons, he was a cornerstone of that James Harden trade with the Philadelphia 76ers. If you think about Ben Simmons right now, no one really knows his status physically and psychologically. No one really knows. If you remember when they originally acquired Ben Simmons, we thought he was a few days away from playing in a playoff game to all of a sudden not being able to play whatsoever. So you have this situation with Ben Simmons. And then you have Kevin Durant, who some believe is the best player in the world and certainly the best player on that Brooklyn Nets team, who just recently put out a request a few months ago to be traded from the Brooklyn Nets. So if you think about all of those different variables, it is a total mess. A total mess. However, it seems, according to an NBA insider, that there may be a chance of KD rescinding his trade request, according to an article that we got from fadeawayworld.net. But before we get into this article, this video is brought to you by our sponsor, Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards, only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura, by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. Now, what I want to do is I want to get into this article here and read what this article had to say, and then we're going to come back and react to it. So it starts off with the headline. NBA Insider says Durant will meet with Nets Governor Joe Tsai this week about his trade request. The article continues on. Kevin Durant is one of the best players in the league, and there is no question that he is still a top tier scorer in the NBA. He had a productive season with the Brooklyn Nets, averaging 29.9 points per game, 7.4 rebounds, and 6.4 assists per game, while shooting 38.3% beyond the arc. This offseason, Kevin Durant shook the NBA world by requesting a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. Despite that, the Brooklyn Nets have not moved him thus far, and some believe that the Nets are still hoping that KD will retract his trade request. Even before the Minnesota Timberwolves warped the trade market by flipping 5 draft assets for Rudy Gobert, several smart people around the league termed the very act of trading Kevin Durant impossible. In conversations with ESPN, there was no way to approximate fair value. A player of Kevin Durant's caliber with so many years locked in had never become available. The Nets are probably waiting for Durant's camp to realize that, and maybe for Durant to retract his trade request. A recent report by Steve Bulpett of Heavy.com has revealed that Kevin Durant will meet with the Nets Governor Joe Tsai this week about the situation. The report notes that it is unclear if the intent of the meeting is to try to mend the damaged relationship between Kevin Durant and the franchise. What I'm hearing is that KD is going to meet with the owner this week. The source told Heavy Sports he's going to go directly to the owner, Joe Tsai, sometime this week. We'll see how that works, whether the intent of the meeting is to smooth over a relationship that suffered at least a hairline fracture when Kevin Durant, with 4 years left on his contract, asked to be traded is uncertain. I don't know, said the exec. I have no idea what's going to come out of that meeting. There are some things that KD is unhappy about, and I'm not sure any of that gets fixed here, but maybe it does. So you heard what the article had to say here. And I have a lot of thoughts about this, a lot of it. So let's just run the gambit. I think this meeting could mean a number of things, okay? It could be that Kevin Durant wants to meet with the team's management to reiterate his position that, no, guys, wait a minute. I know maybe you guys feel that maybe I'm joking. Maybe it was a knee-jerk reaction that, no. I still want out of this situation. I don't think this situation is resolvable. I don't think we're going to be able to right this situation right now. So I do want out of here. That could be one possibility, right? Maybe, and also another possibility could be that he wants to see if the situation is salvageable. That could be, it could be the opposite thing that he's going there for. Maybe he went there maybe after some time. You know, usually when you're angry in the moment, you know, we can make rash decisions. But as time goes by and we cool down and we kind of simmer out and we relax, we tend to feel about those things a little bit differently now that our emotions have kind of simmered down. And probably that's what's happening with KD. Maybe he said to himself, well, you know what, maybe it was in the heat of the moment. Maybe something, you know, he reacted to something and he's like, well, maybe, you know, things can work after all. That could be another possibility, that maybe he wants to change his position, you know, with the team. He may also want to explore what moves the team could make if he decided to stay. You know, he could go in there and say, listen, I'm not saying I'm staying, but in the case of me deciding to, if I do decide to stay, what are we going to do? Right? Because the current situation that we have on ground right now is not going to work. Right? And maybe he can go in there and say, okay, what can we actually do if I decide to stay? Does that involve moving Ben Simmons, who I don't think they can, or moving Kyrie Irving? Who knows? Right? That could be another possibility, you know, that he could be exploring. And finally, it could be that he ultimately just changed his mind altogether. Right? That he decided, listen, I'm going to stay. You never know, right? And that seems to be the thing that a lot of people say about KD, is that you never really know where he really stands on things. I think from a public relations perspective, I think staying may be the best option for him from a public relations standpoint. Why? Because we know that Kevin Durant is one of these guys that listens to the outside noise. We know that. And if he leaves and decides to go and join some contender, maybe it's the Boston Celtics, maybe, who knows, it could be the Clippers, it could be whoever, right? Whomever that's able to trade for him. I think he's going to be scrutinized for it. And I don't see Kevin Durant leaving the Brooklyn Nets to go join a team that's in an even worse position. I can't even speak today. Worse position than the Brooklyn Nets are. I don't see him going to a team that's even worse than the Brooklyn Nets. I don't see that happening. Ideally, he would want to move to a better situation, right? But if he decides to stay, he may be able to fend off a lot of that criticism, because I think a lot of people are looking at KD as one of these guys that runs from a difficult situation, although I don't see it that way, to be quite honest with you. I just think as a guy that said to himself, listen, this thing is going absolutely nowhere, and there's no reason for me to stay here. But to me, it remains to see what his ultimate or what his real intentions are until the meeting actually takes place. Then we're going to really find out whether or not Kevin Durant is going in there to reiterate his position, or whether or not he's decided that he's going to change his mind and he wants to see what the team is going to be able to do. I think if he does decide to stay, then I think it's going to give the team a lot of wiggle room to be able to make some moves, right? I think they definitely do try to find a way to come up with Kyrie, because the Kyrie situation, I just don't think is going to work. Even if you have a healthy Kyrie, we saw what they were in the playoffs. And according to what Amari Stoudemire had to say when he went to ESPN First Take, he said the team was fractured. So I don't see how they run it back and all of a sudden things are going to be different. I think they need to make some moves. And I think the Brooklyn Nets are probably, you know, banging their heads against the wall, because they're still the team that went out there and signed Ben Simmons inexplicably. And a lot of people were twerking it up all over the place and jumping for joy when they got Ben Simmons. And I was like, you guys cannot be serious. You're happy that you're losing a guy that's actually playing games, although he's not himself. He seems to be a shell of himself, for a guy that refuses to play. Which one is the better situation? So to me, I guess we have to wait and see. The question to you guys is this. There's two questions. Number one, do you think he stays or do you think he goes? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.